fix. Come on down, get your horrible gaming review. 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 Wow.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. Welcome to another horrible game review. What am I reviewing today? Ooh, so excited about this one, but before we get into it, we've got to do some disclaimers. Number one, the word horrible in the title of this content does not refer to the DLC or game that I am reviewing, but actually the video itself. I do snap judgment reviews here. I get 5 to 10 hours with the game, and I'm trying to give you a quick idea of what you can expect going into this thing, and whether you're going to have fun or not. Also, that coupled with the fact that I think that video games are one of the most subjective forms of art. Instead, what I'll do is I'll give you an overview of what the game is, then I'll give you a list of the pros and cons of the game in my point of view, as all reviews are, and then I'll tell you whether I personally will be sticking with the game outside the purposes of this review or not. So, now we get to get into it. TMNT, Shredder's Revenge, finally here. So excited about this. Oh my god. Been waiting for this forever. Now, it's Dotemu is publishing it, but it is actually not the same company as Streets of Rage 4. It's actually Tribute, not Lizard View. But somehow they still managed to churn out just one of the nicest, sweetest brawlers that you're ever going to play this year, possibly ever in your life. So let's get into this. First of all, what is this game? Well, this is kind of a direct sequel to the old TMNT 2D brawlers, like Turtles in Time, Hyperstone Heist, that sort of thing. Shredder comes back. Look, the plot is very simple. They're trying to put Crane back together, which you then chase them all around town, trying to get that stuff together, and then basically once you get all that stuff together, you're trying to stop them from putting all that stuff together. And to do this, you brawl through two different types of levels. The main one, which is just side-scrolling 2D brawlers of streets, prehistoric looking landscapes. You've got all sorts of different things. The Technodrome, just everything from the old games plus new stuff. A city zoo. Then you also have these like surfing kind of high speed levels where you're basically doing the same thing, just you kind of add in some obstacles and some nice visuals. Those levels are there's only a couple of them, like not even quite a handful. But in addition to that, we get a soundtrack that is just an amalgam of all the old TMNT soundtracks, then sprinkled in with some actual licensed performance tracks from like Ghostface Killer and more. You get some hard heavy metal riffs, some actual with words songs like Panic in the Sky, and then there's one fight in the game that you fight to a Ghostface Killer song, and it's one of the most cinematic, cool, kid geek out moments that I experienced in gaming, possibly forever. So that being said, you just do that. It is a nostalgia fest just thrown at your face. There are two different modes. There's a story mode where you kind of move around an overworld while going through the levels. It's still basically linear, but what they do is they sprinkle collectibles through each different level, as well as finding different people. Once you find the people, you then get this little extra spot you can move to once you get all the collectibles, which gives the character you're playing with an extra points, which allows you to level up the character to gain more attributes and feats and stuff. You can actually gain more in this mode than you can in arcade mode, because this mode actually allows you to get more special bar and unlock something called Radical mode, which is like a Ninja Turtle Kaioken, I guess. Whereas arcade gives you all the health point boosts, but it does not give you any extra bars, just the one bar to just kind of spam when you get to it. You gain special by hitting combos uninterrupted. Once you charge a bar up, though, you can't lose it. However, if you get hit before you charge that bar up, it goes back to 0. And then, yeah, man, it's Turtles. You get 6-player co-op on this thing. I have not been able to try it. However, I did get to try both the multiplayer and single-player modes. arcade mode, as opposed to story mode, is just all the levels put together in a linear thing with a certain number of continues based on the difficulty you select, and you move through that sucker like you're pumping coins into a machine, old school style. There are 6 playable characters at the initial onset, with a 7th one being unlockable. All 4 Ninja Turtles, of course. Splinter, their master, for possibly one of the first times. Him and April. And then the 7th character, which I was very excited about, is Casey Jones. Now, every one of these characters has different stats, which include very real, tangible things. Instead of just an arbitrary speed/damage score, there is a damage score and a speed score, but you can actually see that the character moves faster on the screen. In addition, there's a range score, which is very interesting and kind of cool in a brawler, because range, anybody who's played a long time, range is meat and potatoes. The farther you can hit, the better you can hit enemies before they can get close enough to you to hit you, and the better you can kind of like play tower defense against yourself. But what's interesting is the characters, as they get more range, they actually get kind of slower. Donatello has the most range with his staff, but he's the slowest character, so you have to make sure that you're very methodical about how you attack while you can hit them well without outside the range. Michelangelo being the fastest, he's actually kind of the lowest amount of range, so people get in close. But in addition to that, each character has kind of their own specialty. Raphael has this big, nasty German suplex that does a ton of damage, while Michelangelo can actually repeatedly bounce on people's heads with a downward kick. Donatello, of course, has his range, but Leonardo has a double jump jumping attack where he totally hits everything around him in a repeated combo fashion. All of the characters have something, have very minute differences, but differences nonetheless, whereas you can play them all from the onset, but playing each one takes a little bit of a different mindset, which is very interesting here. Then, of course, we have to get into one of the most interesting features put into this, a dodge button. That's right, you can actually hit a button and dodge. It gives you momentary iframes while your turtle somersaults or kickflips backwards or forwards, which allows you to actually dodge incoming attacks if you understand the attack patterns of your enemies, and it allows you to actually avoid different obstacles as well. This is incredibly interesting to me as a huge brawler connoisseur. Now look, I'm not saying I'm a great brawler player. I'm not saying I'm the greatest or even great. But what I am saying is I have been playing brawlers since I was a kid, and I have played almost all of them. All the Streets of Rage, all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a bunch of weird ones such as Peacekeepers, Dinosaurs and Cadillacs, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, all sorts, all manner, Captain Commando, all manner of brawlers is something I love. And I've got to say, this one challenges Streets of Rage 4 for greatest brawler of all time, in my opinion. Just because of this dodge mechanic, it makes things so much more thought than MASH. Like, with Streets of Rage, it's when you start your combo, how you proceed with your combo, if you cancel your combo, and flanking. With this, you can really get very specific with how your enemy fighting, and you can use that dodge roll to kind of get out of situations that normal brawlers don't allow you to do. And I've been honestly waiting for a good defensive mechanic like this in a brawler for a long time, and I'm sure other brawlers have done it. I just mean a mainstream brawler of this caliber. Okay, so I think I've touched on everything overall. Let's talk about the pros. Let's talk about the cons. Well, I've already kind of tipped my hat on some of the levels. First of all, pro number one, nostalgia. If you played the old Ninja Turtles, this is going to be like waking up the inner child and letting him run around on a sugar high. It's absolutely amazing. Plus, they not only made this like an homage to old games, they added so many cool things that you probably thought when you were playing the old ones, man, I wish this had this. Like a really cool rap song to make some huge final battle even cooler, or some butt rock to make a surfboard mission even cooler. This game is just lovingly crafted, and whoever did this has played not only all the original Ninja Turtles, but they've played them a lot, and they really wanted to add to it. So the nostalgia just washes over you. The huge amount of characters that you can play that you couldn't play before. It's just such an exciting brawler. Pro number deuce has got to be the dodge. I know I already said it, but a dodge in this kind of game is just game changing. I will say it's hard to make my brain think that way for a 2D brawler. I just forget it's there a lot, but once I remember it's there after I've warmed up a little bit, God, it makes the fight so interesting and so dynamic. I can't get enough of that dodge mechanic. I know it's a simple addition, but it just changes everything as far as I'm concerned. Third pro, and probably should have been first pro, music. This score absolutely kicks from start to finish. Look, I love the Streets of Rage 4 score, even though a lot of other mainstream reviewers didn't. But this one kind of blows it out of the water, especially with the addition of the licensed tracks and the singers. It really makes you feel like you're part of something big when you get to those moments in which, you know, Ghostface Killer just starts spitting while you're having a kung fu fight. It's just really good. Plus, there's just such variety here. You have the bloopy, silly 80s kind of like blue, blue, blue kind of music at some points, while other points you have great remixes of the Turtle song. You have those rap tracks that I told you about. You've got these really crazy kind of almost like J-pop style butt rock songs, and then of course you have some really nice heavy metal riffs for some of the boss fights. I think this musical soundtrack has got to be my soundtrack of the year, and I don't know how it's going to be beaten for me personally. It's just absolutely one of the best soundtracks. The flow and the fluidity has got to be number 4. I have had almost no problems with bugs, issues, dropouts, anything like that. With some minor exceptions, we are going to talk about in cons that only relate to multiplayer. But if you're playing this locally with a friend or you're playing this solo, you're not going to have any problems. It runs absolutely like butter from start to finish. And it's sad that it's a pro that it just isn't buggy, but that's a pro nowadays. It's just fantastic. Pro number 5. Yeah, that's right. I'm still going. The art here is great. All the turtles are handcrafted, and not just are they artistically drawn well, but they all ooze personality. Every character on the screen oozes personality, from the turtles to the bad guys. I mean, their idle animations are different. The way they run are different. The way they move when they're fighting is completely different. Even though all the moves are kind of the same, it just oozes personality. When you're playing Splinter, there's no question you're playing Splinter. There's no times where he does the same thing. He moves in his own way. He does everything in his own way. It's phenomenal. And this extends to the enemy and bad guy typing. There is a huge amount of enemy and bad guy typing here. Just tons of variety. Every 2 or 3 screens you will meet a new type of foot soldier or a new type of robot or a new type of bad guy to fight. But even more than that, they're always doing these weird comedic things. Like, it seems like Tribute never missed a beat to make a weird observational humor joke. From a foot soldier at a reception desk answering phone calls for no reason, to a foot soldier walking through a mall with a shopping bag for no reason, or one cooking. Like, just every time they get a chance for a foot soldier to be doing something other than waiting for you to fight, they are. And it's just great. Like, you can tell they really just put a lot of thought into this. It's not just they're just waiting for you to hit there. It's very interesting and cool, and I love that kind of stuff. Love that kind of stuff. The world is just completely handcrafted to absolute perfection. All right, we got to do it. We got to get into cons. Obviously, you guys can tell how much I love this game. So I want to just disclaimer this by saying this is one of my Game of the Year candidates, and I know that there's a lot of people even who work for this channel that will disagree with me just because it's not big enough, but this game is just, for what it is, exactly what it needs to be. However, that doesn't mean that it's everything that you want it to be. There is a couple of slight faults. So, con number 1, multiplayer. Look, the multiplayer is not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but the most bugs and issues I've encountered in this game, or any for that matter, happen in the multiplayer sections. They happen when I was playing with a friend and they got dropped out, or our internet speeds weren't syncing up quite right, and all of a sudden bad guys were teleporting around the screen. Now, I will point out that the Streets of Rage 4 multiplayer, I have always noticed a lag in it, always. And I never got to play the multiplayer before I actually got to do the review. And if I had, I definitely would have pointed it out as a con. Whereas this one, I don't feel like the lag is there as much, but there are things. We had moments where we got stuck at the bottom of the screen just kind of floating. Another moment where we both hit continue and it took us 30 seconds to actually drop back into the, well, more than 30, like near a minute to drop back into the game. Plus, I played a second time off camera with my brother, and he got booted like a few times. That might have been his internet speed, but still, any problems that I've noticed have been in the multiplayer. So just buyer beware on that. And of course, that's online multiplayer, not local. No problems in the local. Moves smooth as butter so far. Okay, so let's move to the next con. Okay, this con is a little nitpicky. Please bear with me. But I've got to say what I feel, and there's not enough here. Look, I love this game, and maybe in the grand scheme of things, this is the right move because it leaves you wanting more. But I want more. The story mode and the arcade mode are fine, but there's not enough here to keep you occupied for weeks and hours and whatever. I mean, in fairness, Streets of Rage 4 didn't have anything there to keep you occupied until they did updates, and they eventually did the Mr. X Survival Mode DLC, which is something that game desperately needed, in my opinion, to revitalize its life. There's nothing like that in Turtles. I hope it gets something like that, something procedurally generated, maybe a roguelite type mode, some type of mode that gives you kind of more of an endgame to it. Because right now, all there is there's the arcade mode, which is, like I said, just playing through the levels with a handful of achievements you can accomplish, or the story mode, where all the achievements are really gained. But the story mode, once you've beaten it, you just move from level to level. There's a few collectibles in each area and a few challenges to do to get through, and other than that, you just grind out your turtles till they get to their max level. But let's face it, you don't need their max level to beat the game, so it almost feels counterproductive. And don't get me wrong, I am 100% going to max out every goddamn character in this game, and you'll be able to watch it, soft plug on my amateur hour, but it's still, I want more. I want more here that I can sink my teeth into, that I can just play for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours without thinking about it. This game is so good that it needs something like that. This is great at base, but I hope we see some sort of addition later, like a survival mode or something. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. I've gone too long. I've actually recorded more audio than I have actual footage recorded for, so you might see some looping. Sorry about that. But as far as whether or not I'm going to stick with it, I think I've already showed my hand on that. I'm going to play this game until the wheels fall off on the thing. I absolutely love it. It's great. It's also in Game Pass, so if you have that, give it a download and try it. It's great. It's great, especially with friends. That is another thing that I absolutely love, is you get these team attacks when you're playing with friends that just automatically happen if you knock somebody into one of their attacks. It's just very cool. Very cool stuff. So that being said, I hope this helped you. I hope this gave you an idea of whether you're going to play it or not. Either way, you can contact us on Facebook at OhMyGamingDH, on Twitter at OhMyGaming9. You can join our Discord. Links on the description below. You can influence this and all of our shows from there. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you keep watching, you keep listening. I'll keep making it. We'll see you next time.